Hello, welcome back to the Road to Episode 7, my ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens on December 16th, 17th and 18th, 2015, depending on where you are in the world. And this is the morning after the trailer. I feel terrible, I was far too late. I mean, it was like 4 AM to begin with when the trailer aired and was posted online, and then I just couldn't get to sleep. I was so excited about it and stuff, and yeah, another sad bastard video coming right up because I'm just, so amped about this film, and the trailer was just incredible. I think it might even be better than the second teaser, which I never thought it would be, and it didn't give me any of those initial like holy shit moments, but just the overall production of it was just incredible. Still just love it so much, and we're going to go through the trailer, break it down shot by shot, and I'll kind of review it and talk about the things that I've kind of seen in it and things like that, which I promised to do for the second teaser, but I never ended up doing, so I'm going to do it now and get out of the way so that I don't forget. And let's just start right away. I'll show it all on screen. The first shot, we have Rey opening some kind of hatch on something inside this big wreck of a Star Destroyer. I love the shot, just the way the kind of dust is floating through the light and just the mask that she's got on and everything. And just before she opens it, there's like a half a second where there's like these pinholes of light coming through whatever she opens. It's a really cool transition. And then the next shot, we see her kind of climbing on something, and in the background, if you look closely, you can see a familiar kind of shaped corridor of a Star Destroyer, which is really just really cool. And then she swings down on a rope. Again, just great. I mean, it just looks fantastic. You know, the production design of the film really looks great. And there's a lot of CGI. People have been moaning about that, saying, "Oh, what's all this about practical effects? There's tons of CGI in this film." It's like, well, J.J. Abrams said there's going to be a ton of digital effects in it, obviously, but they need to find a happy medium, and I think they have, because almost every shot in this trailer looks like it was at least shot on a stage. Or, well, yeah, I mean, I can't really see anything that looks like it's a pure green screen shot. Well, probably some of the big space battles are, obviously, but otherwise, you know. This one here, it almost could be a matte painting. I don't know what it is, but it just looks gorgeous. You see the sand that's come in. You see the big holes in the floor, like you see. It's the big, you know, the room where all the what's the word? The docking bay of a Star Destroyer. Just a brilliant shot. I love this one so much. And then we have Rey and BB-8 walking off towards, I guess, the distance in the desert. Really, really great shot. Just the lighting and everything, and walking off. And this is where we hear Maz Kanata, the space pirate played by Lupita Nyong'o, saying, "Who are you?" and Rey replying, "I'm no one." And it really just sets up a character so well. BB-8 is definitely digital in this shot, and you know, even though he was a practical thing, you can just tell that he's digital in this one. But I don't mind that, because you're going to have to do that for some shots. He looks a lot bigger than I thought he would, next to a human, though, I will say. But this is another one of my favourite shots of the trailer. Then it cuts to this one of a ship taking off. I don't know what this is. I don't know about any of the speculation, so it is what it is. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to kind of dissect everything. We've got Rey here working on something. Again, shows us more about her character, that she's kind of this scavenger who just works on things and is very much her own kind of person. Then we have a shot that looks like it's a few seconds before the shot we saw in the first teaser, which is all the stormtroopers turning around, a big kind of First Order march, I guess. Then we have another shot of John Boyega's character Finn taking off a helmet dramatically, stormtrooper helmet, and his voiceover coming in saying that he was, I think, something like, I was made to fight, or something like that. It basically alludes to the fact that he's been brought up to be a stormtrooper, basically. But now he's got nothing to fight for. And we see his TIE fighter get shot down, or, I mean, I can't tell from this shot. It starts just as the TIE fighter starts spinning, but it was either shot or he hit something, and it spins out of control down towards Jakku. Of course, we've seen the shot of the TIE fighter wrecked on Jakku in the Comic-Con behind the scenes video, so it makes sense that he survives that. Though how he could survive a TIE fighter falling from space straight down to a planet, I don't know. We'll see. And then a great shot of him walking up onto the kind of precipice of a big kind of sand dune looking over a city. Looks almost like a Mos Eisley kind of thing. A very cool shot. And then we see him looking out in confusion, I guess. And then this shot, this is where the trailer just starts to get so epic. This shot of Kylo Ren on a Star Destroyer bridge, maybe the finalizer, and this big red laser light in the outside the window. And people have been complaining about this because it's technically a lens flare. I really don't care at all. I think it's an awesome shot, the way it pans towards him, and then we see his face with the mask on. And that's when the music starts to get amazing. There's a 4 to 6 second cue in this I think is absolutely incredible. I just loved that music cue so much. But it turns out John Williams didn't do it. A guy who works with him, Dan Goldwasser, I think, on Twitter, has confirmed that John Williams didn't do the music for the trailer, which is really disappointing to me. People are like, oh, why are you getting disappointed that Drew Struzan didn't do the poster? And it's like, well, because they had him and they didn't use him for the poster. The same way here, they had John Williams, but they didn't use him for the trailer. Now, he could just be busy with the, obviously there's so many behind the scenes stuff you don't know about. But I was just disappointed because the music was so great and I thought it was John Williams, but it wasn't, unfortunately. And someone said, oh, you've crushed my dreams. And the guy said, well, what's your dream? Is your dream to have John Williams stop working on the film to do the trailer music, or to continue focusing on the movie and make it the best Star Wars score ever? So yeah, I believe the guy knows John Williams, so I think there's some validity to that. But I wish I knew who did the music, because they did an amazing job, not only with bringing the old themes in, but the new kind of cues in there. And the one with Kylo Ren is just, oh, I love it. So I wish it was his theme in the films. I love it so much. How many times am I going to say I love it so much in this video? And then we see the shot of him kind of looking over Vader's helmet, and the voiceover from Adam Driver is fantastic. I love the tone of his voice. Nothing will stand in our way. And he says, I'll finish what you started, in relation to Darth Vader. But I love the way that he says it, his cadence, the beat, just the way that he speaks. I will finish what you have started. Just the way he stops on finish to pause. I just really love it. And then we have a shot of him kind of looking at someone and kind of holding his hand up and maybe torturing them or trying to get into their mind. And we see someone screaming, and it's Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac's character. And then we see this big shot of all these trees getting blown away, maybe a planet getting destroyed by the big Starkiller based weapon. And then the Empire theme comes in. Han and Leia's love theme from Empire Strikes Back comes in. And this is one of the main themes from my favourite film of all time that comes into the trailer. And it just took me over so much. I love it. And there's an amazing shot of the Falcon flying down over a wrecked ship, and then a TIE fighter chasing it through this graveyard of Star Destroyers. I mean, it's just incredible. And then it changes to this shot. I mean, I just love everything about it. It's just awesome. And then another shot of this is another part of the same shot of the Falcon flying away from the TIE fighters. And then we cut inside the Millennium Falcon with Rey and Finn looking at some kind of holographic kind of star system hologram. Some kind of holographic hologram, yeah. You know what I mean. It's stars and planets and stuff. And we hear Han Solo saying, because Rey says, well, you've seen it, you know what it is, you've probably seen it 100 times by now, you don't need me to go over it all, but just for the sake of going through everything, she says, I've heard the stories, and Han says, they're true. And then we see his face, and he says all of it. And that's kind of like really, really cool, because, obviously we've never really heard Han talk, or anyone talk with reverence about the past of the original trilogy. And it almost makes it seem like it's, it's days gone by, it's kind of the forgotten past, and that now 30 years in the future, maybe things didn't go too well after Return of the Jedi, and people almost see those days from the original trilogy as this kind of mythic event, it was like a fairy tale. And you got people like Finn and Rey who literally, I don't think John Boyega and Daisy Ridley were alive when at least Return of the Jedi, or at least Empire Strikes Back came out. I think they're in their early 20s, so I mean, yeah, they definitely weren't even alive for the original trilogy, so in the story they wouldn't be alive for the events of what happened, and so it'd all be just kind of like stories told that sound larger than life, and kind of, again, relics of the past, and kind of a mythic tale almost, and Han kind of confirming they're true, that was all real. It was a really cool moment of the trailer, again with the Han and Leia theme coming in, and then we see the awesome hyperspace jump lights going forward, and the Falcon flying through hyperspace, which we haven't seen since the original trilogy. I don't think any ship went to hyperspace in the prequel trilogy. Then we get these two very quick shots of Kylo Ren with 6 other people, who I believe are the 7 Knights of Ren. I think 7 is a significant number. I've heard people talking about that, but I don't like to dig too deep into the rumours and the things that people have been leaking. But this shot, I mean, just look, there are so many bodies around, and this is a very quick snap of the wide shot with all the bodies around. Then we cut in much closer, and we can see they all have kind of different masks. There's a guy behind Kylo Ren who has this big kind of cleaver thing all over his shoulder. It looks like one of them's got a gun. I mean, it just looks like some kind of crazy kind of Clockwork Orange gang. And actually, that cue when Kylo Ren starts talking almost reminded me a little bit of the opening of Clockwork Orange for some strange reason. Maybe I'm off on that, but yeah, this just seems very sinister, and people are thinking it's a flashback, and maybe Kylo Ren is a character that other people have taken on over the years, but I think it's Kylo Ren, and we'll find out more obviously when the film comes out. And there's another shot of the X-Wings flying across the water. Looks like basically it picks up where the last shot left off in the first teaser, opening the wings and the guns, awesome, and then we see stormtroopers fighting with the X-Wings flying over the water towards them. I don't know what planet this is. I think people know what it is, but I'm not looking too much into it. And then another shot from, I guess, the same planet with the TIE fighter flying over the water and X-Wing chasing it. I love this shot, and this is where Han starts coming in again, saying, you know, the dark side, the Jedi, you know, they're real. And that's when the music starts swelling up again, the classic Star Wars theme, and hearing Han speak of such reverence again to the Jedi, which he never did before. You know, you just think back to A New Hope, where it's just like, hokey religions ain't nothing like an old blaster. So, you know, like he just like, you know, he doesn't believe in all that stuff, and we never really see him kind of have any kind of moment of respect for the Force. The entire original trilogy, really, you never get that from Han. And so to hear him in this is definitely like a cool kind of character change, but also it just kind of makes sense that after all this time he realizes, you know, what Luke did and what the Force was. And obviously he would find out following Return of the Jedi and things like that. Maybe Leia was Force sensitive, who knows. But it's just so great to hear Han talking like that. Just goosebump stuff, you know. Harrison Ford, great performance, you know. He's obviously going to kill it as Han Solo, in my opinion. Then we have this shot that we saw in the teaser of Poe Dameron getting out of the X-Wing, tapping Finn on the shoulder, and Finn walking backwards. I really like the flow of that shot and the way the music flows with it in the trailer. This is one of the best shots, an X-Wing flying down, the camera spinning around and following it, blowing up an X-Wing, just an epic shot. It looks like we're going to get some amazing space battles in this film. I can't wait to see them, honestly, on the big screen. Then boom, another huge explosion with Finn and Rey and BB-8, and then we see them looking in shock at whatever's happened, and then we have this shot, which a lot of people have been complaining about, saying it looks too un-Star Warsy. I think it looks great. I mean, you know, anything's on the table. It's a fantasy film. You know, you can put whatever you want in it. But apparently, people have said that they have seen in the flags up there that there are some of the pod race flags, including Anakin's from Episode 1. If that's true, I think that's really cool. I like it. I'm all for referencing the prequel trilogy in a minor way. A lot of people are also talking about how Han says the dark side and the Jedi and not the Sith and the Jedi. But again, Sith was never a term that was used in the original trilogy, and Han would have never known it, so it makes no difference to me, really. And then we have the shot of Luke with R2-D2, which we've seen in the teaser. We have the shot of Kylo Ren's thing coming down. I guess it's his personal ship. That looks really cool. Great shot of Captain Phasma walking dramatically with a cape flowing in the background and destruction in the background. Looks like some kind of village they've been attacking. And then a big shot of Kylo Ren slashing down his lightsaber, which cuts to probably the most controversial shot of the whole trailer, which is Rey seemingly crying at the body of someone. Now, I thought it was Chewbacca, and I still think Chewbacca is in that shot. But I think on careful inspection and watching it over and over again, I think Chewbacca is in the shot, but he's not the person who is... or at least he's not dead. I mean, I think maybe it's the back of his shoulder and she's kind of looking past him, and someone's been injured, someone's been killed, or something's happened, and I think that all bets are off, basically. We'll just see what happens, and I don't feel like now that I've been spoiled that Chewbacca's going to die, because I think that it might not be what it seems, and they wouldn't be that stupid to put something that big of a spoiler into the trailer if there wasn't some ambiguity over what happens in that shot. So that's all I'm going to say about that, and not spend too much time on it. And then this great shot of Finn, Chewie, and Han holding their hands up. It reminds me of Return of the Jedi outside the shield generator. Then we have another shot of BB-8 in the back of an X-Wing on this big battle on the space moon, or the ice moon, or the ice planet, the space moon. And then we see the shot of Oscar Isaac inside the X-Wing, and this amazing shot of the ice planet or ice moon with the big trench. Obviously they've turned this planet or moon into the super weapon that we saw in the poster, the Starkiller base, and I just love it because it's like the Death Star, but it's different, you know. And people are saying, oh, it's just the same as A New Hope. You know, you got someone who crash lands on the desert, and then they've got to find someone, and someone, you know, an old man tells them about the Force and stuff, and then there's a big Death Star battle. Oh, it's the same thing over and over again. I think it looks awesome. I think it's a cool little twist, and this shot, I just love all the TIE fighters, the X-Wings. I mean, it's just fan wank material, isn't it, really? And then a simple shot of the stormtroopers running down the ramp. A particularly unflattering shot of Rey firing a gun off at someone. This shot I love. A stormtrooper firing up into the sky, and an X-Wing just takes him down. It's just an awesome shot, and you can kind of see in the still I took that there's like a stormtrooper flying in midair there who's just been blown up. Another great shot, Kylo Ren just like force pushing someone, and you just feel him through the screen, just like you know. And then an awesome shot of the Falcon flying into maybe an old Star Destroyer docking bay with a big explosion, a TIE fighter chasing it. It looks like command deck getting blown up and some bad guys, you know, falling over from the blast. And if you look close, you can see one of the little scuttle droids that we saw in the first Star Wars film. Another little cool reference. And then this is the big shot, you know, Leia and Han. I'm so happy that they're going to be in the film together, at least for one scene, because it was rumoured that none of the original cast were going to share any screen time together, and this confirms that they will. And obviously it confirms that something really sad has happened. It can't just be that they're worried and concerned about a war kicking off. There's something really interesting behind this shot. You know, maybe Kylo's their son and she's upset about what he's done. Maybe Chewbacca has died. You know, who knows? I mean, there's so many variables, and I'm just really excited about it. And to see those two together on screen in the trailer again was awesome. And then finally we got Finn, the shot we saw in the Instagram teaser. Looking like, yeah, let's do this. He's got the saber, he's ready to take on Kylo Ren, and then the next shot, he's like, oh shit, what have I done? What have I got myself into? And just the way Kylo walks towards him is so imposing and menacing for some reason. So Adam Driver, already with his vocal performance and his physical presence, is just already awesome in my eyes. And then, again, you just see the look on Finn's face, he's like, what the fuck have I got myself into? Which kind of confirms my theory that Finn is not a Jedi, or at least isn't yet in the trilogy, and kind of picked up the lightsaber to just think, well, I can do this, and kind of ends up with more than they bargained for, and then that is the end. And then the title of the trailer, and we hear the voiceover of Maz again saying, the Force is calling out to you, you must let it in, or something like that. People have been saying, oh yeah, that's Princess Leia, but no, it's Maz. You can definitely tell the twang of the accent is Lupita Nyong'o. So, and because she was speaking at the beginning of the trailer to Rey, saying, who are you? And Rey replies, I'm no one. It kind of makes you think that she's talking to Rey at the end of the trailer when she says, you must let the Force in. So it kind of goes along with my hopes and theories for the film in terms of what the main characters are going to be doing and stuff. Poe is more of a mystery than I would have thought. We see him fighting and stuff, but we don't get really much of a sense of anything beyond him just being a pilot who crosses paths with the main three. So yeah, that's my my little breakdown of the trailer. I'm sure there's more things people can talk about and pick up on. Most interesting stuff is the shot of the Knights of Ren, I think. There's a lot that can be drawn from that, and it's very interesting to see where that goes. Maybe Supreme Leader Snoke is in that VII, who knows, but from what it seems, Andy Serkis' character Snoke is going to be like the big bad, you know, like the Emperor, so I wouldn't really see him being one of Kylo Ren's, you know, lesser Knights of Ren. I don't know, maybe did he start the Knights of Ren? Did he become, you know, part of it? You know, there's so much that could be, so many possibilities basically. And even though people are saying, oh, this trailer, well, some people have said the trailer spoils too much. I think it doesn't spoil hardly anything. I think it's a great tease, and I think that it's, again, we've heard dialogue now from the characters. We know a vague sense of what's going on with the story. We still don't know that much, and that's really rare in big movies today, for them to make a trailer, like a full final trailer, that doesn't really give away much of the plot. You look at the Terminator Genesis trailers, gave away the entire film. There's no real twist in Terminator Genesis that you haven't seen in the trailers. Like, you see the final moments of the film in the trailer. It's ridiculous. So I'm really excited. And then of course there's the whole thing of, you know, where is Luke Skywalker? I mean, he's in the trailer, that shot with R2-D2, but a lot of people are kind of confused about that, and maybe people who aren't following along here. Maybe people aren't following along, you know, like I am, like the nerdlinger that I am, who just on everything, you know, I mean, I've been making this series for almost 3 years now, so obviously I know all the little details that have been, you know, officially confirmed or whatever, but some people, I guess, who are more casual fans have not, have been quite surprised by the fact that Luke isn't, you know, a big part of the promotion of the film. But I think it's great, because the first time we're going to see Luke Skywalker is when we sit down in that cinema. You know, whether he's in the film for 30 seconds, like some people are predicting, or whether he's in it for a bit longer, like 10-15 minutes. You just don't know. You really don't know, and I think they've kept it under wraps pretty well. And I've read stuff that says, yeah, he's only in it for like 5 seconds at the end. I don't think I buy that, because he was seen at Pinewood, he was seen, you know, on location, he had that beard for months, so I'm sure he's got a bit more of a substantial role than that. Even if he doesn't, we know he's in Episode 8 in some form, and also it seems that he will be talked about, and the theme of the film will be, you know, where is Luke, in a way. So I think it'll be interesting that he'll be a main part of the film, even if he's not in it physically that much. But yeah, there you go. That's my long thoughts on the trailer. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought down below, and I'll see you in the next one, where I'll talk about some of the crazier fan theories, particularly one regarding Kylo and Luke Skywalker. So I'll see you then.